Today we are going to talk about metacognition, and this is how students learn. It's actually thinking about your own thinking. That's what the term metacognition means, thinking about your own thinking. Here are the story of 4 students. We've got 4 students. They were all ended up with an A in a course, but if you look before they received their A, they were either not doing well, even failing. However, the grades that you see that are underlined is what they made once they have learned strategies. So how did they do it? How did they go from failing or not doing well to making an A in the course? Well, they became expert learners by using metacognition, started thinking about their thinking. They studied to learn and not just to make the grade. And in doing so, studying to learn, they actually did make the grade. So metacognition is the ability to think about one's own thinking, be consciously aware of yourself as a problem solver, being able to monitor and control your mental processing. In other words, am I understanding this material? And you're thinking about that. And also accurately judging your own level of learning. So why don't students know how to learn or how to study? Well, number one, they've not been taught this. Most of the time, they've never been taught how to learn or how to study effectively. And not only that, many students are just distracted. There's so many distractions with social media and your phones and everything that they don't actually take the time to learn how to study or how to think about their own thinking. So think back and be honest. How many hours per week did you actually study in high school? According to data from the entering classes when they come to college, students said they really didn't need to study in high school, or they spent very few hours, less than 6 hours perhaps, doing homework in 12th grade, and they still graduated with an A average or an AB average. And also, students' confidence level is high. They think their academic ability is above average, or in the highest 10% among people their age. In high school, when you studied, you didn't have to study very much. In other words, to make A's and B's in high school, you can look at the chart here, you didn't have to put in many hours per week. And most of your teachers in high school, they just reviewed the day before the test and they went over the test questions. So if you just attended class the day before the test, do you think you could have done pretty well? So there's a difference between studying and learning. And what is that difference? When you're studying something, perhaps for a test, you're just studying real hard just to get the test to do well, and then you forget about it. And learning is when you actually learn something, like think about learning how to drive, right? So which is more enjoyable to you? Probably learning. And think about this too. For which task would you study harder? To actually make an A on the test, or if you actually had to teach the material to the class? See, when you actually have to teach it, that means you have to know it. And to know it, right, you got to study, you got to learn it so well that you can teach it to others. All right, so the fast and dramatic increase, like those students, was the application of strategies, and those strategies lead to success. So what is a strategy? The word strategy is originally a military term for a plan to win a battle. When the military wants to win, obviously they do, they have to form a strategy. So a study strategy is a plan to learn, to succeed. So you become the general, you become the boss of yourself in the learning situation. You control the learning. In reading and college success, we have certain strategies, like the study formula, Cornell notes, the study cycle, time management, organization, 25 good reader strategies, and more. So we're going to learn ways that you can control your learning. So what we know about learning is that active learning is more lasting than just passive learning. Actually, passive learning is an oxymoron. Active learning is being what it says, active, not just sitting back and not doing anything. So part of active learning is the actual thinking that goes on in your mind. So thinking about your thinking is very important. That's the term metacognition. And the level at which learning occurs is important. And that's the Bloom's taxonomy. Here's a pyramid of the Bloom's taxonomy. It is the levels of thinking, and what level you are at affects your learning. So the base of the triangle is the base remembering and knowledge, what you did more in high school. And as you go up the pyramid, you get into higher levels of thinking. So that's the creating, the evaluating, those types of learning. Again, in high school compared to college, it's different. So the level of the Bloom's taxonomy pyramid, to make A's or B's in high school, you might just needed knowledge or understanding, maybe a little bit of applying. But in college, to get those higher grades and to be more successful, you need more of the higher levels of thinking on the Bloom's taxonomy. So the creating and the evaluating and the analyzing. So how can you move higher? So if you're mostly used to the bottom base of the Bloom's taxonomy, right? The knowledge and the understanding, the just remembering stuff, well, how can you move up? One way is to use the study cycle. So this is a strategy. The study cycle has 5 parts. You need to know these 5 parts. Preview, attend, review, study, and assess. Let's go through each one of these. Preview means to preview before class. Extremely important, huge to benefit you, is to actually preview the material before you even enter class, before you even hear the professor talk about it. So you want to skim the chapter, you want to look it over, look at the headings, bold-faced words, look at what you're about to learn. If there's a summary or a chapter objective or chapter goals, look at those. And start getting your mind used to this topic. In fact, start creating questions that you'd like to learn from this topic. The second part is attend. You must go to class. You must be there. You must be present. You must be active in class. Answer and ask questions. Take notes. Really listen and think about what the instructor is talking about. But go to class. The third part of the study cycle is to review after class. So you had preview, now you want to review. So as soon as class is done, reread your notes that you took in class. Go back and look at anything where you might have had gaps and try to fill those in real quickly. See if there's any questions remaining and get those answered. Fourthly, you have to study. Repetition is the key. Repetition is the mother of all learning. So repeat and repeat. So study, look over the material again several times. Ask your questions like why and how and what if this happened. And have 3 to 5 short study sessions per day. And when I say short study sessions, that's like 20 minutes at a time. But do 3 to 5 of those a day. And don't let the weekend go without not looking at your notes. Reread your notes and material from the week to make connections, to keep it at in your mind so you can learn this material. Intense study sessions include a goal. So just take a minute, 1 to 2 minutes, decide what you want to accomplish in your study session, then focus on that material. Again, I would say probably 20 to 30 minutes to look, create concept maps, organize your material, fill in notes, reflect, reread certain parts, and then take a little break. Maybe a 5-10 minute reward break. Call a friend, get a snack, get up and move and walk around, and then go back to your study session. And don't forget to review. About 5 minutes to go over just what you studied and say, hey, did I reach my goal? Lastly, you want to assess. So periodically perform reality checks. Am I doing well in class? Am I using study methods that are effective, that are helping me? Do I know this material well enough that I can teach it to a friend? Those are some questions that help you understand or assess your understanding of the material. So, quick summary: successful students use metacognition. Successful students use strategies. They use higher levels on Bloom's taxonomy. And successful students use the study cycle. So I want you to be a successful student, so use these strategies.